Hey everyone, I'm Eli Martyr. This is the FreeMelon Society. Thank you for your attention here on the channel. So I haven't been with you in the last while. The last video that I did was a question and answer. And in that video, I let on that we'd been going through a tough time with the family. And so I've by necessity had to relax a bit with how much attention I'm giving the channel. And so that always bothers me when that happens, but in this case I hope you can understand. So I'm still dealing with this. There's no easy way to say it, but my mother is gone. My mom didn't make it, guys. My mom didn't make it. She made a couple of appearances on this channel, so some of you guys might remember her. Incredible woman, an absolute angel. No one could have asked for a better mother. And the fact that she was my mother, I must have done something right in my last life to deserve having a life with her as my mom, my guardian, my friend. And so she's gone. She's not here anymore. In the physical world, at least. Anyway, I'm so sorry, guys, and I'm doing this. I'll tell you what happened. I won't make this too long, but you also please understand that I'm doing this more for myself to get this out. So I'm using you guys as personal therapy right now. And I'm admitting that. So just bear with me, okay? Oh gosh. So my mom had liver cancer, and she was diagnosed with liver cancer last year. And around the same time last year, it wasn't good. She was knocking on death's door, bedridden, totally devitalized of her energy. She even tried to do a short fast. This is something she wanted to do, but it weakened her a lot. You have to be careful fasting with liver conditions. But it was something that she started doing, and we were okay with it because she was only going to be doing it for about 2 days or so. Anyway, at some point though, my mom had both myself and my brother to give our positive influences and coach her through lifestyle reform. And she took up our suggestions and guidelines on how to change her lifestyle, and she was so good about it. She was so incredibly good about it. Much to our surprise, she was back on her feet, no longer bedridden. She had her vitality back. She slowly reclaimed all the bits of her familiar, comfortable life. And for the rest of the year, last year, we were back to normal. It was glorious. It was wonderful. 2025, at the end of February, that's when things started to go wrong again, and she was starting to have a little bit of fluid retention in the gut, the beginnings of ascites. So you guys can Google that. I can maybe flash some images on the screen. But when you get ascites as a result of liver disease, prognosis is very, very negative. Usually, once you get ascites with liver cancer, it's a matter of time. Something that I didn't really accept. Right? So what happened was she was getting a little bit of fluid retention, and then we went in for a routine colonoscopy. Now, I don't know why this was routine for her, why we went in for the colonoscopy. She had done it before, but in this weakened condition, she went in again, and whatever happened at that colonoscopy, that was it. That was the KO punch. That was the KO punch, man. From that point on, her symptoms just exploded in severity, and it was a downward spiral ever since that moment. When it started happening, I had another client that I was working with, wonderful client, wonderful lady. She made so much progress and with our coaching, and she went in also for a colonoscopy, and the same thing. Just chaos, calamity in terms of health. Guys, these routine, what we call in medicine routine screening procedures, this is just a heads up for all of you guys out there. Be Very careful with routine screening procedures, diagnostics, examinations, CAT scans, colonoscopies, processes where they have to do things to your body so that they can see something for their convenience, right? Be very careful with these. It's not just an innocuous, non-harmful procedure. It's more than that. But in the industry, they don't consider these things factors. When your mother goes from 100 to 50% right after a procedure, they don't consider that as causal in any way. It's not even on their radar. So just be careful. Anyway, so things got worse and worse and worse and worse. Her legs swelling with fluid, her gut swelling with fluid, couldn't move, bedridden, tried to go get a drainage procedure done. The fluid just comes back. It's because the liver isn't making albumin properly, and without that albumin, fluid leaks in the gut. So all your organs start to get filled and saturated and start to swim in this fluid that you're releasing. So now we have to get a parasol put into her abdomen, and that goes in, and it's supposed to let a nurse come to the house because she's pretty bedridden and losing a lot of energy too, guys. So the vitality, like her vital force, we've talked about vital force, vital energy, nerve energy, that starts to tank and starts to plummet. Now, if we remember from our natural hygiene instruction, that vital force, that energy that powers everything, if that is in short supply, everything is affected. So if your vital force plummets, by necessity, because everything is powered by your vital force, your digestive power is not going to be as great, your elimination power is not going to be as great, and everything else that requires the energy that fuels life. So that's starting to go. And with each subsequent drainage treatment that the nurse applied to my mother, then I could see every day just the life being drained out of her, and her face reflected it. The fatigue and the confusion. Why am I so weak? Why am I feeling this way? God, it's so difficult to see. I started living at home. I might have mentioned that in the last video I put on this channel. I started living at home with mom so I could take care of her and just look after her. At some point, it started to become essential that someone was here because she couldn't take care of herself anymore. So anyway, I said I wouldn't make this long, but we got to the point where everything is going wrong at this point, guys. So everything's going wrong. The day when I needed to help her stand up out of the couch, oh man, that hurts. That hurts. I had to be around because she couldn't go to the washroom by herself, guys. My mom is a fiercely independent woman, so strong-minded, strong in body too. And to see both her physical body fail and not even be able to carry herself to the washroom, and see the look in her eyes when she would reach up for me just to have me help her go to the washroom. Oh my God. It's terrible. Oh God. Anyway, now she's completely constipated, all right? Closer to the end now, or at least that's what her feeling is, which is funny because the diet that we had her on, it was impossible to get constipated on. Absolutely impossible. But the dehydration. So regardless of how much fluid she drank in a day, which is very minimal, because her appetite is so low. The challenge with my brother and myself was when we realized that she had been literally fasting for long enough, we need to get some sort of nutrition into her in the simplest liquid form as best we can, because there's only a small window of time each day, minutes, that she'll accept nutrition. So it's juices, it's smoothies, it's broths, liquids, that kind of thing. Because at this point, complete fasting would be out of the question. So now her digestive system is backing up. She's constipated. She doesn't have the vitality and the strength to even make strong enough contractions, and a bunch of other things that just compounded the issue. So at some point, we rushed her to emergency. She adamantly refused to hear anything about going to the emergency. And we had to honor that to an extent, of course. And once we could see that we couldn't wait anymore, that's when we took her to the emergency. So we respected her wishes to stay at home until doing that was not acceptable. Long story short, we took her to the hospital. She was gasping for breath. It was such labored breathing, and she was in such discomfort. And guys, the most difficult thing for me to accept by far, looking in her eyes, it seemed this tortured expression on her face, gasping for breath, her eyebrows furrowed. I feel like she was tortured for hours, right until the end. And I don't know how long it's going to take. You know, when it comes to the end, I think what everybody wants, they want their loved ones in the fully conscious state to look them in the eye and say, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready for this. And with presence of mind, if they have accepted that they're ready for the end, then you can communicate your last thoughts, your last wishes, and that's a good way to go. But I don't know. I have my doubts. I don't think she had that. God. Oh God. My brother and I slept in the emergency room with her. They gave her morphine and opiates to kind of try to settle her down. And even after all of it was administered, it bothered me that she was able to respond to commands, to instructions. In the end, when she was still gasping and having difficulty breathing, they told me she's not experiencing pain, but she was still able to respond to some things here or there. And so we were up all night with her, beside her, gasping and groaning. Oh my gosh. At some point, my mom did settle down, and it did look like she was in some kind of a sleep. My brother and myself fell asleep as well, and then when we woke up, that was it. She was gone. So, in one respect, if there's any consolation that I have to give myself in that moment, is that we did have one last family event together. At least we all went to sleep together. I talk a lot on this channel about health and wellness and spirituality. You know, this is a good time to stress, guys, that if there's anything constructive that you can add to your life, any constructive modality of living that you can incorporate into your lifestyle, guys, do not fall for the conventions of the world that take you away from what you truly are on the inside. One of my favorite sayings from the Gospel of Thomas. It's a very powerful statement, and there is a deep, deep truth in these simple words. And this sticks with me. And it says something to the effect of, if you bring forth that which is within you, that which you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. If you repress, withhold, conceal, or hide stresses, emotions, turbulences, troubles, if you bury them inside and you just let them sit there, they will come and destroy you. They will haunt you. They will ruin you. There's a health application to these words of wisdom as well. Before I had come across the Gospel of Thomas, I realized that this is something that I've been trying to do on my channel with what I teach. I'm always teaching you to return to nature. I'm always teaching you that there is wisdom and guidance that's innate within the self and with our relationship to life. all of that is what is in you. And it's your responsibility not to accept the dross, the layers of dross that the world piles on top of what you really are inside. The way that intelligent creator designed your body, designed your likes, designed your preferences, designed your instincts, and we're taught through culture, through conditioning, not to trust those things. And we do all sorts of nonsense in our lives that pull vitality away from us and strip it off even little bit by little bit, until at some point later on, we come to some sort of awful traumatic end, and the causality is buried behind layers and layers and layers of errors that we've conducted in our lifestyle. We like to comfort ourselves by saying that these things sometimes just happen at random, but the intelligent part of me knows absolutely that that is not the case and has never been the case since the creation of this world. No, there is law and causality and rigorous structure and fairness behind everything, no matter how unfair things seem or no matter how incomprehensible they might be to us. Okay, so if there's one thing you can do for yourself, take care of your health, take care of your spiritual development. It's arguably much more important. God, through that long, torturous process, no son or daughter ever wants to see that from their moms. And even when she was still with us here physically, God, when I would see her actually asleep and calm, so nice to see her sleep. Oh. And at the end, when she left, it was difficult to admit, but there was some part of me that was just happy to see her finally be calm and at rest. And I love you so much, Mom. Your family loves you. Josh loves you. And just like I was visiting Dad after he passed away, Mom, I'm coming to visit you in the astral as well, okay? And you make sure to let me know that you're doing all right. Okay, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for your time. This has been helpful for me, so thank you for letting me vent and telling you the story. I'm sorry for this disruption in the flow of the channel and the content that I like to upload, but in time, bear with me, and we'll get back into the swing of things. Okay? Thank you guys very much. I love you, and we'll see you next time. In the last couple of weeks, my mom's appetite was so low, and I needed to make fresh juices, lots of juices and smoothies for her. And her appetite was just so low that there was only a small amount of fluid that she could take in at a time. And what that meant was, as much as we wanted to stock the fridge and make sure that she had everything that she needed so I could constantly make her juices, there's tons of stuff here that we just weren't able to get through. So I guess I'm going to take as much of the stuff here that I can salvage as possible, make one last juice for her. Gonna make a nice apple and beet juice, and this is the juice that I would have been making for Mom that she could never actually enjoy, and I hope that through me you can enjoy this juice as it was intended. All right, this was for you, Mom.